Hello, welcome to the news desk at WMPO. I'm Michael Clemens.
And I'm Rebecca Moeller.
Since 1881, with the founding of the American Red Cross, the nonprofit industry has been a vital industry throughout America and the world. The nonprofit industry differs from the for-profit industries because it does not give its excess revenues to shareholders, but uses it to achieve the firm's individual goals. A nonprofit are mostly tax-exempt organizations that are created for the sole purpose of providing educational or charitable services.
Currently, there are over 1.5 million nonprofits enrolled with the Internal Revenue Service as of 2008. Out of the three types of nonprofits, public charities represent about 3/4 of the nonprofit industry, making them the more numerous than private foundations and other types of nonprofits. About 27% of adults said they volunteer through nonprofits, totaling 15 billion hours during 2009. This total hours volunteered translates to about $279 billion of wages at the average wage.
As a result of the recent economic crisis, private giving has decreased 3.6% since 2008. Our news correspondents Jordy Kaufman and Hannah Klein were able to talk with two heads of nonprofit firms on different ends of the nonprofit world to see how the economic downturn is actually affecting the viability of the nonprofit industry.
Jordy was able to talk to Beth Nelson, Assistant Vice President of Development and Alumni Affairs at Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania, about how alumni contributions have affected the educational nonprofit.
Okay. Now, Beth, how have you seen your donations decrease due to the economic downturn?
From a financial standpoint, I would say our fiscal year runs from July 1st through June 30th. So July 1st, 2008 through June 30th of 2009 is basically when we're talking about the economy changing. And I would say in that year, our donations in terms of overall dollars dropped as well as our donor base. So our donor base was about 37% of our alumni had participated prior to, and we dropped down to 34%. This year, I'm happy to say, as year to date, we're up significantly in terms of dollars, as well as a little bit incremental support in terms of the percentage of donors. And then major gifts, which is an area that I certainly have overseen for a period of time. What typically happens is that follows the markets in the trend, and there tends to be about a 6-month lag time. So as the markets start to increase, you won't see some of the major giving increasing again until about 6 months after that. So we're starting to see that influx right now.
Thanks, Jordy. Beth Nelson discussed some great points about the nonprofit industry. It's interesting that Mrs. Nelson brought up that not only have donations gone down, but donors have decreased as well.
In a recent study done by Bank of America and Merrill Lynch, donations have been shown to still stay strong in areas where donors can see their money going toward direct action. Educational organizations like small liberal arts colleges have not seen the same steadiness in giving since there is not a necessity for a new science building when there is a large number of humanitarian needs.
When people see a direct need in their community, they are more likely to continue to give if they are financially able.
We turn now to Hannah, who recently sat down with Kirsten Olson, Director of Development at Children and Families First, to discuss just this topic.
What do you have for us today, Hannah?
Thank you, Rebecca and Michael. I recently sat down with Kirsten Olson, the Director of Development for Children and Families First in Wilmington, Delaware, and she had a lot to say about nonprofits and where they are going in the near future. When asked about donations, she said that there was certainly a drop in donations shortly after the economic downturn. Many people who were consistent donors took a year or two off from donating to Children and Families First. The one thing that was interesting was there were some people who gave more in 2008 and 2009 than they had before the economic downturn. Kirsten Olson attributes this to the type of nonprofit work she does. With children in the foster care system and infants who need health benefits, many feel that these are important groups that others want to help. There's an immediate turnaround of funds to give to the children that the nonprofit helps, which many donors appreciate. When people see their money going directly to a group, then they are more likely to give, says Olson. And in the downturn, many kids in the foster care system and infants of single teen mothers were affected. So with a greater need, many supporters supported the cause quickly. Those who were able and were not hurt as badly by the economic downturn wanted to balance out those who were affected more, and therefore the average donations increased drastically since less people gave small amounts and those who were able to give more did so. As seen in this graph, average donations went up in 2009 by a fairly significant amount. The economic downturn hit them hard initially, but by 2009 and in 2010 again, Children and Families First saw a good bit of rebounding for their donations since the initial shock started to end. As far as Olson's views on the future of nonprofits, they are going to continue to get better over the next few years when it comes to donations. But the companies that are really going to survive, she says, are those where people can see a direct need in their communities or in the world. There will certainly be other sectors that bounce back faster than nonprofits, but once people see a need, the nonprofits will get more donations. Now back to you, Michael and Rebecca.
Thanks, Hannah. As we begin to see an economic turnaround, the nonprofit organizations will start to see more donations coming in.
Though nonprofits may react a little slower to the end of the recession, eventually most nonprofits will see increasing donations. Before that time, nonprofits will begin to work together to help the community and the world.
Nonprofits dealing with crisis situations will continue to receive donors, and soon other nonprofits, such as education and healthcare, will see more donation as the economy improves.
If there are people in need, though, there will always be a nonprofit or non-government organization to help.
From WMPO, I'm Michael Clemens.
And I'm Rebecca Moeller.
Stay classy, Easton, PA.